I want you to direct your attention towards the slide itself, right? Look at it for a second. Of course, you can see the title. We all know what the title is today. But do you see something else? Something purple. Right there. You guys see that, right? You might wonder that maybe it's just an aesthetic choice. Maybe it's just a design, right? You're about to find out that it's not. So throughout this presentation, we're going to cover different things about how AI, Gen AI specifically, has impacted PhD as we know it now, and how that changes our perspective of PhD. And this right here, if you can relate to it, it's actually a shape called a torus. Not the zodiac sign Taurus, it's T-O-R-U-S. The interesting thing about this shape is that if you were to be on the surface of it, it's like a donut, right? No matter where you go, you can never, there's no edge. You can never fall off of it, right? You're always going to be in a loop. You can never go away from the surface. Now keep that in your mind as we move forward with this. So, nothing good starts without Richard Feynman first. So the quote, if you can see, is, "I learned very early the difference between knowing the name of something and knowing something." And Richard Feynman said this. So obviously this was relevant back in his time, but it's even more relevant now, when Gen AI makes it incredibly easy to be able to access any information. You can find things, you know, on your phone, on your computer. So how does that impact what a PhD means? So many people have spent years of their lives researching on topics that now you can find, well, you know, as the slide says, within 3 seconds. Do you think, maybe to an extent, that invalidates the purpose of a PhD? Do you think maybe they wasted their time, to be blunt? That is a perspective that you could take as people who want to someday pursue a PhD. You might question, well then why should I do one? You know, if AI can do the same things, why should I? So we're going to be answering about that.
So traditionally, research is such a long and time-consuming journey, right? So it starts with literature review, which takes months of endless reading. Then we move to research design, to formulate hypotheses, and followed by tedious data collection throughout fieldwork and experiments. After that, we spend months of analysis to find the patterns, and finally we sit down for heavy lifting of writing the actual thesis. But then AI entered the pictures and the game changed. So look at the pollen roll. Instead of months of reading, tools like Ellipsis and Consensus accelerate our literature review in minutes. For research design and coding, we have ChatGPT and Copilot assisting our methodologies. And data collection is augmented by synthetic data and APIs. While analytics is supercharged by Claude and advanced Python library. So if AI can handle the reading, the coding, the data, and the writing, what is left? What is actual hardest part now? So the answer is epistemic judgment, right? So this is the moment where no tool can tell you whether your answer is true, is worth any. AI can generate data, but it cannot validate the truth, relevance, and ethical impact. You must design yourself. So in conclusion, in the age of AI, the bottleneck of research is no longer our technical ability to process the information. The bottleneck is now our human judgment, our capacity to critically evaluate what is true, what matters, and what is next.
Alright, next slide. Let's start with a simple question for this one. What can AI actually do today? Well, most people think AI can write essays, paraphrase, generate image, or even compose music like we've seen yesterday. That is impressive, obviously, but that's only scratching the surface. Let me show you 3 real examples. First, citation network. Imagine walking into a world's biggest libraries with over 200 million research papers. No human could ever read all of them, not even in a several lifetime, that's right. But AI can scan them, connect ideas from different papers, different fields, and even discover relationships that researchers may have missed. It's like having a research assistant that could never get tired and it's sleeping while we are sleeping, but they're still doing the work. And it can read almost every scientific paper ever published. Alright, second, which is the middle image, multi-omic. Think of human body as a giant puzzle with billions of pieces. Doctors and scientists collect huge amount of information and data. Example, genes, protein, blood tests, DNA, and many other biological signals. On their own, these pieces don't tell us much, but AI can put these pieces together, they glue them together, and spot hidden patterns, helping researchers understand disease earlier, developing better treatments, or even prevention systems. It's like solving a puzzle that is simply too large for a human being to ever finish alone. Finally, AlphaFold. For more than 50 years, scientists try to answer one important question. How does a protein fall into its final shape? And why does that even matter? Because proteins are like tiny machines that keep our whole body alive. So if we know their shape, we can design better medicines and understand disease much faster. Then AI came along. What had taken scientists over half of a century to solve was actually within only like 18 months. That breakthrough is already accelerating research on cancer, rare disease, and new medicines. So AI can read faster than us. It can recognize patterns we cannot see with naked eyes, and sometimes it can solve scientific problems much faster than human ever could. But AI is becoming this capable. What do we still have left to do? What's still those PhD researchers got left to do? So I would like to hand over the stage to my friend Will Ho handle this part. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, I'm here from Taiwan and I'm going to show you, as the title shows, so what cannot generative AI do in a PhD or in research? Apparently, as we all know that AI can do a lot of things. They can help our lives, including research. As you guys can see on the slide, marked in purple, we choose some of the research field that our honorable judges do. First, AI can do map every mutation in the cancer genome. Second, AI can scan thousands of liver tissue slides and flag abnormal cells patterns. And last but not least, AI can stimulate a patient's heart with near perfect accuracy. However, there are also limitations. There are things that AI cannot do, as marked in the yellow. Only human beings like you and like me can do. First one is that only human beings can judge the worthiness of the research direction. And also, second, the contextual and reflexive interpretation of data is also something our human beings only can do. And also, lastly, ethical design and subjective feelings. And also, as judges just mentioned, learning from our failure and experience is also something that only human can do. And that's all I got for you about the something that generative AI can do, and that's why it's in research and in PhD still need our human beings to be in the game. And here comes our next presentation.
With all of these mighty capabilities of AI, what does it mean for PhD? One thing should remain clear. PhD is not dead and it will not get replaced. It will just be different. With AI, There's no more ceiling on which to explore. Researchers can explore more studies from different domains and allocate more of their energy and resources to why something matters, and define clearly the purpose, while AI offloads the researchers the repetitive tasks. On the other side, there's no more floor on how low can a research sound good or well researched despite of its maybe an ill-intended purpose or just a fully hallucinated findings. What a PhD now trains you for is not just finding answers. It is knowing which questions are worth asking and being willing to show real results despite being wrong in public. Is our formulated research question, when answered, actually tackles real-world issue? Does it maintain itself within the ethical boundaries? Or simply, is our study's purpose for humans and is human? AI can definitely provide an answer on these questions, but they cannot give the correct answer, and it's the role of the researchers to do so. With that, the tool will keep getting better. The question is whether you are.
Okay, so as we move closer to the end of this presentation, now we know what Gen AI can do, what it can help us with in research, and what it cannot help us with, right? So that generates a fun question. When the tools that you use every single day have the ability to think faster than you and do computations at levels that we cannot even imagine. Now, what are you gonna do? You know, what's your responsibility now? And I think, in my opinion, what's left for researchers now is to think, just think. Because going back to all of the purple donuts that you've seen everywhere, I mentioned the thing about not being able to get off of its surface. Why did I say that? I said that because AI is very similar to that. AI only knows the data that it's been trained on. It doesn't have the ability to visualize beyond that, but humans do. We have the ability to move past that, to look beyond. We're not living by the same constraints or the rules that AI does. So we can still think, find innovative solutions, creative solutions, while using AI to guide us with the work that may be expensive, time-consuming, so that essentially frees up the human brain to explore, because that's what we're meant to do, to explore, to be curious, and to learn. So let's move on to the last slide. The last slide, once again, is a quote, since we started with a quote. And here I'm quoting Charles Darwin. It says, "It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent. It is the one most adaptable to change." And as we go forward as researchers and as humans who are curious and willing to learn, I hope that we can choose to stay adaptable. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Group 15. Poster competition of the NYFP 2026. Can we please invite Professor Wong Lim Soon to give the honors? So you already know who you are. You know the only 3 groups still have been announced. So Group 15, make your way to the front. Group 15, and of course, thank you, Professor Wong as well. So if you can make your way back to the seat.